Welcome to the Agoura Hills City Council meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person in the council chambers and also by utilizing video conferencing. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices and do not access Zoom during the live meeting, as it will cause interference with the audiovisual system in the council chambers. Tonight's meeting may be viewed on Zoom via the link on the agenda by live stream on YouTube by entering Agoura Hills City Council meeting in your browser and clicking on the link for May 10th, 2023, or view the live or archive meeting on the city's website at agourahillscity.org and click on the Watch Meetings Online button. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. There will be an opportunity for the public to speak on any item listed on the agenda. Any person in the council chambers who wishes to speak or submit a written comment is requested to complete a comment card for each item and submit to the city clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. Comments submitted at the meeting will be provided to the city council for review and filed with the official record. For any person participating remotely, written public comments were requested to be emailed by 4 p.m. today and distributed to the city council in advance of the meeting. To request to speak during public comment, please click on the raise hand button on the Zoom toolbar. Request to speak must be received prior to the mayor closing the public comment portion of the item. Public testimony for all speakers is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Written public comments will not be read aloud by the city clerk. For full details, please refer to the public participation section on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call the meeting to order. And for the Pledge of Allegiance, I will defer to Cub Scout Pack 227.
Attention. Will the audience please rise? Color guard advance. Hand salute. Those not in uniform, please put your right hand over your heart. Please say with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard dismissed. The audience may be seated.
I'd like to thank Cub Scout Pack 227 for that great ceremony. Thank you very much. I now will defer to the city clerk for a roll call.
Good evening. Councilmember Lopez?
Here.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Here.
Councilmember Wolf?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Present.
Mayor Anstead?
Here.
Mayor Anstead, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I will now defer to the city attorney, Lee, for a report of closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. At 4 p.m., the City Council recessed the closed session, and we will be reconvening back into closed session at the conclusion of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move into the approval of the agenda. Will the maker of the motion and second to approve the agenda please state your name?
This is Councilmember Wolf, and I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber seconds the motion.
Thank you. I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is actually the presentation to Cub Scout Pack 227. And we'll see if we can get some of the leaders to come back in and the rest of the troop. Cub Scout Pack 227. So this evening, on behalf of the City Council, I have the pleasure of recognizing Cub Scout Pack 227, and I believe I have the leaders up here with me, Jeff Raskin, which is right here, Cub Master Andrew McDonald, excellent. And the city of Agoura Hills has a long-standing history with Cub Scout Pack 227. We did a little research in the city's archives and found that the first time the pack participated in the flag ceremony was at the city council reorganization meeting held at the former Radisson Hotel, which is now the Sheraton, on December 7th, 1998, almost 25 years ago, way before I think many of you were born. Over the years, and matter of fact, I don't know if Councilmember Wolf, you were born before that time. So over the years, along volunteering at various events in our region, Cub Scout Pack 227 has continued to take part in the presentation of the colors and flag salute in our Agoura Hills City Council meetings, and we sincerely appreciate their participation and community service. On behalf of the City Council, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce and thank our current Cub Scout Pack 227 for performing the flag ceremony this evening and many other evenings over the last 25 years. So I first would like a round of applause for Pack 227. I'm going to call the names and then just have each one come up. Ben Best. Ben? Oh, Ben's not here. All right. And Peter Best is here. Peter, here, I want to give that to you, and I'd like to shake your hand. Congratulations. Thank you again. All right. Go ahead and stand over there or over there. So Noah, I'm going to have you pronounce your last name for me to make sure I don't mispronounce it. Tell me your last name.
My name's Tyler.
Oh, your name is Tyler. Is Noah here? Where's Noah? Noah, what's your last name?
Deganin.
Dugganen. All right. Did I pronounce it right? All right, Dugganen. Here, this is for you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your work. Thank you. Okay, Tyler Dagganen. This is Tyler. Congratulations. There. Connor Finnerty. Okay, twins. Kyle Finnerty. Hi. Brandon Hip, who's not present today. Anish Condren.
Honda.
Honda. Very nice to meet you. Remy Lay. Lie. I'm getting there. All right. Dylan McDonald. Ian Raskin. Caden Restar. Is that Reeser? Very nice to meet you. Tiernan Stemfel. Correct? Very nice to meet you. Maximilian Toledo Brecht. Is that you? Brecht? All right. Did I get that right? Okay. Braden Wheels. Again? It's Wales. Wales. Braden Wales. Very nice. And Johnny Young. Congratulations, everybody. Yep, would you like to say a few? Before we let them all go, I want like to have the leader to say a few words to all of you for a second.
So, for decades, apparently a few more decades than even I was aware of, Cub Scout Pack 227 has provided elementary school-aged children in Agoura Hills and Oak Park with opportunities for leadership and character development, practical skills building, and service to the community. Our pack leaders, our den leaders, and in some cases, most importantly, our parents, work together to teach our kids independence, good citizenship, personal fitness, outdoor adventuring skills, and to care for the world around them. And we do it all wrapped up in a healthy dose of fun. We very much appreciate our long connection to the City Council. In fact, until quite recently, one of our past leaders sat on this council. With the COVID emergency behind us, our scouts have enjoyed returning to their tradition of being part of this council's meetings, and we thank you for that opportunity.
Okay, next we're going to move into Intergovernmental Special Purpose Committee and departmental reports. Are there any reports from staff? Okay, are there any reports from the City Council? No? None? Okay. Next, we'll move into public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. For council chamber attendees, please submit a comment card to the city clerk. For Zoom attendees, click the raised hand button on the Zoom toolbar now. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the council shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the council, you hand it to our city clerk and do not approach the dais. I will now defer to the city clerk for public comments.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. One written public comment was received prior to the 4 p.m. deadline today and forwarded to the City Council and will be part of the permanent record. And that was from Ben Suber, Agoura Hills, representing the Community Service Days Committee. We did not receive any further written comments, nor are there any speaker cards that have been submitted. I'll now defer to staff for any remote participants. Amber?
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No hands are raised to speak on this item.
Thank you. Now move to the public comments. The section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter's jurisdiction, or I'm sorry, I read that already. Yeah, I'm moving to the consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items on the consent calendar. For council chamber attendees, please submit a comment card to the city clerk. For Zoom attendees, please click the raise hand button on the Zoom toolbar now. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the council, you hand it to our city clerk and do not approach the dais. I'll now defer to the city clerk for public comments.
Thank you. No written public comments have been received and no speaker cards have been submitted. I'll now defer to staff for any remote participants.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No hands are raised to speak on this item.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the city council on the consent calendar? I know there's a couple people that would like to make some statements on the consent calendar. Are there any questions first before move into statements on the consent calendar? Okay, Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you. We don't have to pull anything. I just wanted to make a comment about item number 10, which is approving the appointment to fill the Planning Commission vacancy. I just wanted to congratulate you on a wonderful appointment. Should the council approve it in the next few minutes, to welcome back Kate Anderson. I think that's a fantastic decision, and I just wanted to thank you for talking her into coming back.
You got it. Thank you very much. And I also would like to make a statement on that same subject. I had a chance to review over 6 qualified applicants to the Planning Commission. And after reviewing them, I felt there's a lot of people that have a lot of things to offer to this city, but I really could not pass up the chance to put Kate Anderson back on the Planning Commission. I felt like that Kate worked really hard when she was in the role the first time that she was on it. A lot of people have also made positive statements to me about her actions while she was on the Planning Commission, and I felt like I needed somebody also that was seasoned for the role, because we have quite a few junior planning commissioners, and I felt it would be great to have somebody that has experience doing it as well. And so I couldn't pass up the chance, and I hope the other city council members are fine with that recommendation going forward.
And I forgot to mention, this may be, and maybe Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber can, or our city manager, this may be the first time, should we approve it, that we have a female majority on our Planning Commission, which is, I think, very cool.
Awesome. You got it. That's great. Any other comments from any council members?
I mean, I'll just jump in,
Sure.
and it's assuming the council approves it. I believe it's a good appointment, and welcome back to Ms. Anderson. And she was my appointee on the Planning Commission for a couple of times, and so I'm really glad that you're back. And I think it's a good choice. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. You got it.
Well, I think I should chime in too. So, I thoroughly agree with what everybody else has said, and we're going to have a great planning addition to the planning committee. So thank you for returning.
Awesome. I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
This is Councilmember Wolf. I will make a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Do I have a second?
This is Deborah Klein Lopez. I'll second.
Thank you. I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval 5-0.
Thank you. And congratulations, Kate, for the Planning Commission. You got it. All right, moving on. Our next item up for discussion is a discussion to consider approval of the waste management valet fee increase proposal. I will now defer to the Deputy City Manager, Louis Zelaya, for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Anstead and members of the council. This evening, staff will present waste management.
Can I interrupt?
Yep.
Would this be the appropriate time?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I will be recusing myself in the next room. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Wolf.
Also, if I may add, and that's because he lives in the Annandale Townhome, and this fee would affect them.
Yes,
Thank you,
that's
Chair.
the reason why it's, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Anstead and members of the council. This evening, staff will present to you Waste Management's return valley fee proposal. Next slide, please. So for your review, at your January 11th meeting, the council received a request from Waste Management for consideration of increases to the valley's service fee during the annual escalation request. This increase was considered substantial, and the City Council did not support the request at that time as the cost was a concern. There was also discussion on the contamination fee. At the conclusion of the annual escalation approval, staff was directed to meet with Waste Management and return with options. Staff has met with representatives from Waste Management, and the following is being proposed for your consideration. Waste Management is proposing an incremental increase of the prior request over the next 3 years to reach the final proposed rate of $20 for the residential cart and $47.59 for the residential bin valley service cart. Next slide, please. Additionally, as part of this proposal, Waste Management will not take a consumer price index adjustment to the valet fee during the annual escalation request. At the conclusion of year 3, which is 2025, the valet fee will then be adjusted by changes to CPI. Waste Management, as also part of this proposal, is also withdrawing its request to increase the Waste Management is always withdrawing their request to increase the contamination fee. As a reminder, and as referenced in the staff report, the proposed fee increase is due to operational cost recovery. On April 11th, staff presented the revised valet fee proposal to the Public Works Subcommittee, who reviewed the proposal and supports this request and the phased approach. Next slide, please. I wanted to demonstrate to the council what the proposed increases will look like, and then next we will look in context is how it affects the overall regular trash rate. As you can see, for the residential cart service, this is the multifamily and condo complexes that have the valet cart service. The increase over 3 years equates to $1.26 increase each year. The first year will begin in June of 2023 and will conclude in December of 2023. In 2024, the valet fee will be $18.75 and then conclude at $20 for the final year. On the residential bin service side, the increase equates to approximately $6.38 increase each year. This first year would be $34.84 and conclude at $47.60 in year 3. Next slide, please. This slide shows how the valet increase, if approved this evening, would translate into the total cost for trash service. Under the residential cart service, as you see, the current total cost for the service listed is $40.37. Under the proposed scenario, this would increase to $41.63 and conclude with a rate of $45.61 in year 3. This assumes that the normal rate for refuse collection would increase by 3% each year, the maximum allowed under the contract. For the residential bin service, the current total for the most common service is $128.62. Under the proposed scenario, the first year would readjust to $135 and then conclude at the $154.04 in year 3. This also assumes that the normal refuse collection would increase by 3% as well. As noted previously, year 1 would begin in June of 2023, and then the rates would then again adjust in 2024 and 2025. Next slide, please. In summary, the proposed increase would be phased over 3 years to reduce the overall impact, thereby reducing the dramatic 1-year increase that was first proposed. The valet service fee would not be adjusted by CPI changes for the next 3-year period, but would then return in 2026. The Public Works Subcommittee supported this request as it provides a relief to the company's operation cost while at the same time reducing the fee to the impacted customers. Next slide, please. At this time, staff is recommending that the City Council approve the Waste Management proposed valet increase and direct Waste Management to notify the affected customers. This concludes my report. I am available for questions, and there are also representatives of Waste Management here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to public comments, does any council member have questions of the staff presentation? Councilmember Lopez.
It was my recollection that when this came before us last time, in addition to the fees themselves, we were really kind of shocked at the scope of what the valet service, the labor intensity of the valet service itself. And it was my understanding that when this came back to us, Waste Management was, I don't know if it was Waste Management or staff, but I thought we were going to also be discussing some options to the valet service itself, like can people take their own bins to a specific place, like a curb or this or that. I know it's very different, the bins versus the carts. I know on the equestrian sites, that's a whole different ballgame, but when we're talking about a place like Annandale, I thought we were going to have other options in addition to the valet service.
That was a comment that was referenced by one of the members of the council. Staff did speak with Waste Management, and staff also went out and looked at the area to see if there was any potential possibilities of as referenced earlier, potentially having the residents put their carts out on Conejo View. In the subcommittee, we did present to them that unfortunately the way the area is, it is permitted for certain hours where people cannot park because of the school. And it's pretty much, I want to believe, on the south side of Conejo View, and it goes all the way down. We presented to the subcommittee pictures of a lot of vehicles that are on the street that park there now during the time when there is also cars parked inside the complex. The uniqueness of that street and how it's permitted and there's restriction for parking, obviously, because we assume that at the time when it was set up that way, it was to prevent high school students from parking all along Conejo View, because there's a lot of parking on Driver as well. Additionally, the way the complex is set up, that valet service fee has to exist, the valet service, simply because there is no other places to put the carts. The carts are kind of put in the area, they're put in front of the vehicle's parking stalls, and then the truck drives in, the driver gets out, pulls all the carts out, truck picks all the carts, puts them back, and then the driver or the assistants who's with the driver will then return the cart to its current location, whether it's in front of a small little bin area where the townhome may have a storage bin, or it's put in front of their, I'm going to call it like their front little area where they sit. So we did look at that. We went back and saw what there were potential to maybe even transfer it to the street, and that would just create an issue where on trash day, where would all those cars park?
But don't we have that already in some areas of the city? Like I remember on Canwood, down by the furniture store and all that. I remember the street sweeping and trash day do you remember, Mr. Adeva? They had kind of collided to be on the same day or something like that. I can't remember, but they had a no parking on Tuesdays because it was trash day. So is that an option?
That is, unfortunately, on Conejo View, it's not an option.
And why is that not an option?
Because you would be taking approximately 900 carts and putting them on Conejo View, and like we showed the subcommittee, there's a lot of vehicles that park there.
Okay.
On the one side of the street, they do park, and we're assuming that those are the vehicles that don't have a space inside the Annandale 2 complex. I'm assuming maybe the complex has one space per unit, so I'm assuming that the rest of the cars there are for the other people. It's just, unfortunately, I think operationally, it's just something and then the question is, where do all those cars go on trash day?
Okay, and it's 900 carts is the estimate of what they do for Annandale?
Yes, because if they had to provide a green waste cart for every unit, it would be 900, because there's 300 plus units there.
Okay, and then again, to clarify, so I'm picturing the area, you've got a condo and like a little storage area that I think people keep their bins in during the week, and then they have some parking spaces. You're saying that people can't just pull their carts out to just that general parking area for the truck to come in?
No, because it's unique. If you've ever gone by on trash day, they line it, the drivers from Waste Management line it up a certain way so the truck can come in, pick up all the carts efficiently, and then be able to get out. So if you had the residents do it themselves, what ultimately would happen is you'd probably have people who forget to put their cart out, there'd be missed pickups, and then operationally, Waste Management have to return again and then deal with who's gonna put the cart out, where's it gonna go back.
Well, missed pickups, I'm not worried about because, I live in a neighborhood, and if I don't put my card out and I miss it, then I either have to wait a week or I have to pay to have them come back, but that you get used to that. So I guess my other question is, there's why, and again, I don't live there, so I can't exactly picture what you're saying, but why can't the residents put the carts where Waste Management is putting the carts?
I think historically, we have talked to some of the residents, they don't want to put the carts out. They've had this service for years, and a lot of them have said, please don't take my valet service away. I've had members of, one member of the HOA send me an email and say, most of the residents here they want their valet fee, they want their valet service, they don't want to have to roll their carts out. My understanding in talking to one of the representatives, a lot of the people in the Annandale too are seniors, so they rather have the service done for them. And there really isn't an area other than I'm going to call it the driveway area, the common driveway.
Right.
There's really not another area to stage those carts.
Got it. Okay, those are some of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from other council members?
Yes, I have two questions. One, the CPI won't apply for the 3 years that the increase is happening, correct?
Yes, that is.
And then when it kicks in, does it just kick in for the actual year that it kicks in, or is it going to add all the CPIs from the previous 3 years as well?
So during this time, when they come back, when Waste Management comes back in October or December, we bring it for their annual CPI adjustment for the overall rates. Whatever CPI rate is for that time will not be added on. So the rates that you see this evening, those set rates each year will be the rate. The only thing that will change when they come for the escalation will be the CPI adjustment to the regular trash rate. The valet service fee will remain, in essence, remain frozen for 3 years.
Right, great. And then this new charge is going to be in effect from June of this year. So is it from June till December of this year, and then it goes up January 1st?
Yes, so the new rate will apply from June to December only, and then in January 1st, the next rate will apply, the year 2 rate will apply, and then in 2025, the year 3 rate will apply.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I think I just want to clarify, just so everybody's on the record here. The original request from the company was to increase in 1 year from $16.23 to $20 and from $28.46 to $47.59 for the bins. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. The initial proposal was to increase the rate for 1 year only at that rate. It was a one-time increase.
You got it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So I actually did get a bunch of emails from residents in Annandale. I will say they seem to be a little bit form lettery, so I don't know if there was a campaign or if they're just all exactly on the same page. But they said I can take my own cans out. So I feel a little awkward, and we can talk about this when we deliberate. But I guess my question to you is, are we sure that the homeowners in general want the valet service? Because I understand it's our decision to determine the rates and negotiate the contract, but isn't it really the HOA's decision to decide whether they want the valet service or not?
Well, in essence, the HOA, because each of the individual homeowners has their own separate account, the HOA's position is we don't really have a say to make a judgment for the entire complex. So based on that, the reason why the valet service is there is we understand, at least the calls that I have received, and I am aware of that email that you saw, and I think it is a form letter, and it's probably coming from 1 or 2 people.
I mean, they seem to be coming from real residents, but my point is that, yes, it was similar, and I just don't, I guess I as a council member, I've only seen emails saying, please don't, do this. I haven't received any emails, not that I would, saying, please let us keep the valet. So I guess my question really is, how do we know what the majority of the residents really want?
I would assume that based on the discussions that I've had with individual board members, that the valet service is something that the residents there are used to and desire. We have not gotten an overwhelming response from the unit that, oh, no, take the valet away, I can roll my own. I think historically it's been that way. The residents there are accustomed to that, and it's just one of those things. We've never gotten a real huge communication about, yes, I don't want the valet fee, take it away. I think it's just a very small majority of people. I would say the majority of folks in that complex are probably in support of just having the service.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I think one of the things that came up is that some of the homeowners, those who want to take their own car, they actually want to opt out of the valet. And can you explain, or perhaps the waste management representative would explain, why some can't opt out versus, whether it's a couple of handfuls of people who would want to opt out? Can you explain that, or waste management can explain?
I'm going to let the representative for waste management kind of explain that challenge of some people opting in and opting out.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How is everybody doing this evening? Good. So, this is a very unique property and project, and as you can imagine, we city into consideration, and we spent a lot of hours, including your staff, to go out and really look at all of our options. With that said, we had a notice that went out to all the customers there at Anna Dillon. I don't have the exact number, but approximately 292 went out as a survey, and only 10 came back as opposition, saying they did not want valet as a whole. Again, I'm not here to make speculations or anything. I'm not an attorney, but based on my years in this business, that definitely was a farm letter. And when the type is exactly the same and there's only a difference of someone's name at the end and their signature line, it kind of goes with that. We have residents that have contacted Ms. Denise Kane, who's your representative, and saying, please don't take this away. That person cannot speak for us. We had members of the board come and reach out and say, he has no right to speak on our behalf on what we want. And so for us, this is a provided service, again, to the elderly when they can go down for safety reasons. Another thing is being in the industry and seeing all different things that can take place. When you start piece farming and milling this, we do have those missed collections where they're calling us right back and saying. So you can imagine we're already just trying to recover our cost. So then when we have to come back and again do excellent service as we continue to do in Agoura Hills, that's an additional cost to come back. And we do see it. And and so with it said that it goes into missed pickups, we also can't confirm, and then extra pickups come out. That's why when we touch each one, we know we serviced every resident in that. And that's really goes back to our quality control and also providing that excellent service that we have, so we don't have these missed pickups. So we just keep everything uniform. And also a majority of the elderly and other people that have personally asked us, please don't take this away, please, 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 for a lot of different reasons. So I hope I answered your question. There's so many different moving parts there, but I just want to reiterate, we spent a lot of hours going out there, and so has your staff, to try to find a solution. I'm all about solutions, and I want to help every single customer. And there's another component on that is the safety of changing things around of our drivers. I mean, the worst thing we want to do is have an accident with one of our drivers, or also the way the cars are parked and then the trash cans or, carts are out, then we have a traffic accident. And so we look at safety, quality of service, and how we can best service your customers.
So I guess to follow up, my question would be, so again, I'm not so concerned about the missed pickup issue because that's really learned, I mean, I learn every Tuesday night. I have an alarm set, I yell at my son, the whole thing.
And you come to work for us and help people remind that, because
exactly.
you can
So,
imagine.
I think in terms of missed pickups, that's just something that people would get used to, or the cost is on them. But I guess my question for you is, why are you saying that people really can't opt out because operationally it's it's not feasible for you to have this piecemeal, or it's safety? Like, what is the main reason why people can't opt out of the valet service?
Both of those that you just identified, there's
Okay.
actually legitimate reason, but that's why I just want to, I'm a customer within WM as well, and one thing that I take is quality and pride, and really looking at these unique situations. So, and nothing is a fits all state, but unfortunately due to safety, operationally, and then also just industry experience and knowing what's going to happen, and so that's why we're there. And we actually, I believe, have an appointment coming up to meet with Annandale folks, because a lot of people have expressed their concerns, saying, please don't take this away. And to me, pretty good odds of 292 letters approximately going out and getting 10 oppositions. That really, it kind of shows the vast majority are in agreement of this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice.
Any other comments from City Council or questions? Staff, City Council? No? All right. Move on to public comments. Written public comments were requested to be emailed in advance of tonight's meeting. If you wish to speak, please click the raise hand button on the Zoom toolbar now. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. We respectfully request that if you have something to distribute to the council, you hand it to our city clerk and do not approach the dais. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No written public comments have been received and no speaker cards have been submitted. I'll now defer to staff for any remote participants.
Thank you, Mayor Anstead. No hands are raised to speak on this item.
Thank you. Does any council member have any further questions or comments before we move into deliberations? All right, we'll now move on to deliberations. Somebody want to start us out? Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber, you want to start us out?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So when the Public Works Subcommittee looked at this, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct and somebody can answer me, is that for the rest of our residents, when we do have a missed pickup, we do call and we are not charged for them to come back out. Yeah. No, I think it's more than once, but maybe if it started happening weekly, it might be a problem.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're nice for a little bit, and then, they have to cover their costs.
Right. So, we felt that the Public Works Subcommittee, that we're stretching that out over a 3-year period was reasonable, and they're not getting the cost of living increase that the rest of the city got. So if you take out the cost of, or if you compare the cost of living of what we're all paying versus what they're paying for the service, it seemed reasonable to spread it out over the 3 years. The larger increases, the equestrian community over in Old Agoura, which I did not receive any emails complaining about that. And I just think they look at it like it's an amazing service because it's part of being a horse owner. And so, I received emails as well from Annandale residents. And so we just felt that, again, stretching theirs out for 3 years was reasonable. However, I have to say that this is this is not sustainable, this valet, and so I would encourage Waste Management and staff and the HOA to kind of try and see if there's any other solutions, because this is just going to keep happening, and I don't really know what the answers are. And I remember that Councilmember Sylvester had mentioned that if we, the easiest thing to do would just say no parking on Tuesday mornings for trash day, but then all of the people who live there then would take up all of the parking in front of the school. And so we would just have, it's like unintended consequences. And so, again, we in the Public Works Subcommittee came back to that this is a reasonable increase. It's really not as much as it sounds because the cost of living is waived. But I hope that people will work together, because I don't see this as a sustainable way to deal with trash. And when the organics come in, it's just going to even be more. So that's, I support it, and I'm hoping that, we can work something out for, the future.
Thank you. Councilmember.
I agree with what my fellow council member has said. I also want to ask, because you just mentioned organics at the end, are they going to have a green waste bin now in addition to their recycle and trash, or where is their organic?
Yes, we will be meeting with the Annandale HOA, the board president, and their property management soon. We're waiting to hear confirmation on our meeting date, but they will be provided 13 individual carts, green carts, for each of the areas, and
Right.
and then they will be picked up at no additional cost. So there,
So-
there will be an option for.
Right, so to follow up with what Mayor Pro Tem said, maybe there can be discussion about having more mutual larger bins rather than lots of individual ones. I don't know.
The problem at Annandale too is there's no area for a larger bin. That's why they have the carts, because
Right,
the
okay.
complex was built, I guess, pre-1970. If you
Yes.
walk there, there is no area. They would have to give up parking spaces to create enclosures.
And they're not going to want to do that.
Exactly.
And I think it does speak to the point that if you sent out 292 letters and you only got 10 complaints, it sounds like most people have just accepted that this is the way it has to be.
Yes, you are.
So I can find in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the explanation. Thank you for all of the time that you've spent on this. It sounds like it's just really a puzzle. I'm sorry to hear that there's no, place for a larger bin, because I agree with I keep saying council member, with Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber, that I just feel like we need to keep looking for a long-term solution to benefit everyone. It's a lot of labor. It's a lot of it's a lot of time, and it's a cost. So I do agree. I hope we can still look for some solutions. Thank you for the data about the notices that went out. That's kind of what I was looking for in terms of what's been the feedback. I feel like we have to just really understand our role in this, and our role is to, approve contracts and prices. And if people do or don't want this service, I really think it has to go back to the HOA and to the property owners to figure out. I mean, if they want to find a space for larger bins so that they can get rid of this extra fee, then, that's kind of on that individual property to do that. So I appreciate the 3-year extension, because I think it's palatable. It's right in there with kind of, cost of living increases. I'm frankly was more worried about the increase on the bin side, but as Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber said, I didn't hear a single thing from Old Agoura, because I do think that it's just, owning horses and equestrian properties are not cheap, and I think they factor that into their expenses. And so, that seems like a reasonable cost. So I feel like it's incumbent upon us to, make sure that the contract's in good standing, and that, our provider is doing good service. We don't have very many complaints at all, and so I'm prepared to go forward with this, and really appreciate the nuance of this, because it's just not like any other place in town. Thank you.
Thank you. And on my comments, I'm part of the Public Works Subcommittee, and so I've heard the discussion before, and I was glad to see that when Waste Management came back after we initially had this meeting, and we said, look, to have our residents have a fee increase, a dramatic fee increase, it's not reasonable, and it's not reasonable for somebody to expect that all of a sudden they're going to get a 60% increase on some fee. And so what was nice is that that Waste Management came back with a much more reasonable proposal. And to me, the proposal is very reasonable, considering that the CPI has been more expensive or higher, I should say, lately. And so therefore, I was pleased with the offer, and I feel it's reasonable for the residents to expect that the services are going to cost more each year for these types, and especially because these services are very labor intensive. And so I think that's the other reason why I felt that they were reasonable on this offer. So I'm prepared to move forward and vote yes. Any other comments from city council members before we vote? Awesome. All right. I will now call for a motion and a second to approve Waste Management's proposed valet rate increase request and direct Waste Management to notify affected customers. Do I have a motion and a second?
Councilmember Sylvester so moves.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Deborah Klein Lopez.
Thank you. I'll now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber,
Aye.
Mayor Anstead.
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments from staff before we move to city council comments? No? I know we have a couple comments.
Councilmember Wolf should come in.
Oh, yes. Let's do that. Yep. Okay, we're ready to move to council comments, and I'm going to defer, I think, first to Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you. I would just like to compliment the staff for the excellent job they did on Community Services Day. I had a lot of fun out there. I hope everybody else did too. And I would like for Amy Brink to confirm, by painting the railing up at the Recreation and Event Center, how much should we save the city?
I should have got the exact figure, but the rail, it's on our reserve study, and it's probably upwards of $20,000 to $25,000 to paint that whole
So we did that.
Awesome.
So thank you so much.
Yeah. And do you want to adjourn the meeting in memory of it? There, okay. Yep, well, first, other comments?
Yeah, I
Mayor Pro
just
Tem Buckley Weber.
wanted to make a comment. It's mostly for the residents out there, if anybody's watching. I know that I've been feeling very sad the last week and a half. It's really hit me, feelings of depression, I would say, because of all the violence that's going on. You know, not only gun violence, but, you know, the prejudice and the mean things that people are saying or doing. There's violence every single day. And it tends to be trending against the LGBTQ community, against the Jewish community, against people of color, against immigrants, and I mean, I could go on and on and on, and I've been feeling a little overwhelmed lately, and so I bring it up because I want the residents to know that as a city, you know, we are doing things. You know, we've been working with our captain at Lost Hills Sheriff's Department. Captain C2 had started up an interfaith security group for places of worship, so we're working on that. About a month ago, the mayor signed a resolution for the Chabad in Agoura Hills, you know, condemning anti-Semitism. We also have the city has a homeless coordinator, our COG has a homeless coordinator who really goes out there and works with our unhoused individuals. And I'm open to suggestions. So if there's anybody out there who thinks that the city can be doing more to promote love and peace rather than, you know, all this violence that's going on, I'd love to hear from you. So just email me at ibuckleyweber@agourahillcity.org, and we can see if there's anything else that we can do to work towards making it a better community and a better world. Thank you.
Comments from other council members? Okay, so now I'm going to move to let council members that want to adjourn the meeting in memory of someone. I know I have 2 council members, I believe, would like to do that. So I will, council member Sylvester.
Thank you. I will start first. I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Brent Noyes. Brent and I both arrived at Willow Elementary School in 1998. He was the principal. I was an incoming parent. We worked closely together while I was a PFA president at the school. and I will always be grateful for his leadership, sympathy, and support. He really loved his pupils and enthusiastically participated in our school spirit days. Who can forget him performing the chicken dance at our morning assemblies? His name will always bring a smile to my face. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you. And thank you for that, Council Member Sylvester. He also moved over to Yerba Buena when I was on the Parent Faculty Club. And the kids did get a kick out of his last name was, it's Noyes, but he always called him No Yes. So, well, thank you for that. So as you see, we, the Agoura Hills City Council, we will sometimes close our meetings in honor and memory of the life of a community member. And we don't do this for everyone. We do this to highlight those who have often spent many years giving back to our community and making an impact and making a difference right here at home in our own community. And so it's particularly heartbreaking, only 15 short years of life. Wesley Welling, a freshman at Westlake High School, was tragically killed on April 18th, caught up in a series of crimes committed across the region by a suspect. While he was waiting for the bus, he was struck down in front of his sister, in front of his friends, and in front of his classmates. And this tragedy occurred only a week after the passing of Wesley's aunt, his mom's sister. So you can imagine the unbearable grief that this family in our own community is experiencing. So Wesley and I did not know each other, but I know that our paths had surely crossed. From the time he was a small child, Wesley and his family were frequent volunteers at the Conejo Meal and Shelter Program, where I had volunteered for many years with his uncle, Bo Morris. And I've included a picture here on our screen of Wesley years ago with his siblings and his uncle Bo at one of the shelter locations. Also, there's a picture of him a little bit older with his Uncle Bo, and then the picture of him and his mom is just so beautiful, and I think all of us who are mothers can see the look in her eyes looking at her son and really feel the love and the loss. And so anyway, the spirit of giving back to the community was instilled within Wesley by his caring and generous family from a very young age. And Wesley was not only a giving young man, but he has been described as kind, calm, playful, amazing, positive, and a wonderful son, brother, and friend who touched the lives of those around him. This Saturday at 10 a.m. at Calvary Church in Westlake, there will be a memorial service for Wesley. Those who knew him well, his family, his classmates, his teachers, and others will surely be there to share stories of Wesley's life, a life that was cut short way too soon, and so I encourage the community to attend. Residents from Agoura Hills, the Conejo Valley, and beyond have rallied around Wesley's family, raising funds to assist them via a GoFundMe campaign, holding vigils at schools, churches, and businesses around town, and coming out in numbers to show support for this family in mourning. And so I respectfully request that we adjourn in memory of Wesley Welling so that their family knows that we too, the city of Agoura Hills, send our deepest condolences. Thank you.
Excuse me, Councilmember Lopez, what time was that service on Saturday morning?
It is at 10 a.m., so it's one of the reasons why I won't be at some of our community service days, sorry, not community service days, our public safety events. It unfortunately overlaps a little bit, but it's 10 a.m.
Thank you very much.
All right, and I also want to just thank all the staff actually that participated in Community Services Day this last Saturday, and thank you for giving of your time. So I think it was very successful and seemed like we did a lot of great things in our community. So it was great to see everybody out there. So the next regular City Council meeting will be held at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, May 24th, 2023 in the council chambers of the Civic Center. Members of the public will have the opportunity to participate in person in the council chambers or by remote video conferencing. At this time, we will adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Brent Knowles and Wesley Welling. Will the maker of the motion and a second to adjourn please state your names?
This is Deborah Klein Lopez. I move to adjourn in memory of Brent Noyes and Wesley Welling.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Councilmember Sylvester seconds.
Thank you. I will now defer to the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Sylvester?
Aye.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buckley Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead?
Aye.
Mayor Anstead, you have approval, 5-0.
Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.